Hi, I'm Marg Scheben-Edey, and I'm a broker with RE/MAX Four Seasons Realty here in beautiful Collingwood, Ontario. One of the most common questions I get are people who are inquiring about buying a condominium at Blue Mountain that they can use themselves from time to time and rent out the rest of the time. And that makes a lot of sense. I mean, we are an international destination, and with over 2 million visitors a year, there certainly is a demand for suitable rental accommodation. And that's what I want to talk about today. It's not always as straightforward as people may think, because we do have bylaws in the area that differ from other areas, and I'd like to explain that. If you're looking at renting a condo out seasonally for periods of in excess of 30 days, it's generally not a problem. So for example, if you want to rent it out for the ski season or for the summer season, subject to any restrictions that might exist in a condominium corporation, you can usually do that. There are two exceptions to that, and I just want to show you a map first. So if you look here at a development called Mountain Springs Resort, it is zoned commercially, and the zoning restriction on it is that you cannot live in it for more than 120 consecutive days in a year. So Mountain Springs, you could certainly rent it out seasonally. You couldn't live there full time. You may have a few limitations. The second area would be the village at Blue Mountain down here. In Blue Mountain Village, there is a restriction of 10 owner days per month. In the Weston, it's 6 if you are in their rental program. You don't have an option of being in another rental program or renting it yourself. So you're either in their program or you're out. So in those areas, you may have a little challenge renting seasonally, but everywhere else it shouldn't be a problem. The second thing you want to consider is doing short-term rentals. So as I mentioned, there is a bylaw in the town of Blue Mountains, and you should Google that, Town of Blue Mountains Short-Term Accommodation Bylaw. And basically what the bylaw does is it says that short-term rentals are only permitted in certain areas. Again, looking at the map, that would include this area of the legacy condos around Blue Mountain. So Mountain Walk and Cachet Crossing, those condos immediately opposite the village. Also, it would include historic Snowbridge. Under the short-term accommodation bylaw, there are two ways that you may be able to rent out a unit on a short-term basis. First of all, you would require either to be under the management of a rental property manager, this would be in the case of the legacy condos, that has 10 or more units under their management. In the case of historic Snowbridge, that doesn't apply. In historic Snowbridge, you would require obtaining a license from the town of Blue Mountain. Also, if you wish to rent properties yourself through VRBO or Airbnb, that type of thing, self-managed in the legacy condos, you would also require a license. All of that information is online on the Town of Blue Mountain's website. It's a bit of an onerous process and there is a cost involved, but it is strictly enforced, and so you need to understand that those are limitations for you. Some of the other considerations you have when you're looking at purchasing a condo that you're going to use in this way is, first of all, HST. If the condo in the past has not had HST paid, and if a previous owner has used it for commercial type purposes like short-term rentals, perhaps they've claimed input tax credits, maybe even not, HST may be applicable and may be in addition to the purchase price. If you yourself become an HST registrant and it's your intention to have it available for rent more than, I believe it is 90% of the year, you may be able to defer or offset some or all of the HST at the time you purchase. But that's really a question that you should be talking to your lawyer or accountant about. Another cost that some people are not aware of has to do with the Blue Mountain Village Association. Blue Mountain Village Association is a not-for-profit organization, and most of the condominiums up here do belong. And the association are the ones that keep the beds full. They provide the shuttle service, they do the beautification, those gorgeous flowers you see in the village, and as well as the animation and the events and the festivals that keep people coming to Blue Mountain. So when you buy a condo that is a member of the Village Association, which most of them are here, then you pay a transfer fee at the time of your purchase. In the village, that would be 2%. Outside of the village, it's 1%. And in addition, there are annual dues, and you do submit rental revenue based on, or dues based on your rental revenue, but they really are small amounts against the value that you get. But it's something you should budget for. Another consideration is mortgaging. It is challenging to mortgage properties in the village or in Mountain Springs Resort where they are predominantly commercial usage as opposed to residential. And so some people are buying their units cash, in which case it's not a problem. But if you're putting a mortgage on it, a lot of people finance against the equity in their principal residence or in another property in order to make a cash purchase of the condominium here. Because as I say, it is tricky to get financing on those. In regard to the other legacy units, they are residentially zoned and typically people don't seem to have an issue. But it's something you should talk to your lender about. While we're talking about money, there is another point that I want to make. For some reason, people seem to think that they could buy a property, put it in a rental program, a managed rental program, use it now and then, and still have a positive cash flow at the end of the year after paying for a mortgage. I can tell you right now, it doesn't happen. And if you think about it, right off the top, you're going to be paying fees to the rental manager. That has to be deducted from the rents. Secondly, you're going to be paying cleaning fees every time somebody is being there. Thirdly, you're going to pay all of your operating costs out of the income that remains. So your condo fees and your taxes and your utilities and your insurance, those costs come out. And so there may or may not be anything left after that to put towards mortgaging. If you have to pay a mortgage out of the remainder, it's pretty certain that you are not going to attract a positive cash flow. So if that's your goal, there are other ways to consider investing in real estate. If your goal is to offset your operating costs, or if you're speculating that there may be future value enhancement on these units, then that's a different story. I hope that that has helped to clarify some of the things you need to know if you're thinking about buying a condo at Blue Mountain. Thanks very much for watching, and again, I'm Marg Scheben-Edey, and I'm a broker with RE/MAX Four Seasons Realty. Love to hear from you. Thanks.